You're listening to the VICK757 podcast featuring Dwight and Michael Vick talking all things tech.
What's going on, everybody? We're back at it. Another edition of the VICK757 Show, talking all things tech. I'm your host, former offensive lineman Dwight Vick, all conference back in the day, along with my young cuz, the icon, Heisman finalist, and one of the best Virginia Tech Sports Hall of Fame former quarterback, Mike Vick.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
What's good with you, man? What's good? What's good?
Not much. Another week. Celebrate my daughter's birthday today, so it's a special day. She turned 18.
Yes,
And
yes.
Off and away she go. You know, kids grow and they growing. I got a 20-year-old, 18-year-old. My youngest daughter, London, turns 15 next week. So, you know, I'm running the gauntlet.
Wow, man. My Sid is she turned 18. She turns 19 next year. It's crazy, man. I remember when I first held it, man. I know we're getting ready to talk tech. We got a big matchup this week, but just reflect real quick, man. Like, I know y'all getting ready. Yeah, like you getting ready. I know after we're done here, you gotta go celebrate and have dinner, but man, just, you know, to be a father, what's it feel like, man?
Yeah,
like, I know you've been one for a while, but just a few minutes, man.
Yeah, just now that they're getting older, man, you know, it just take on a different meaning. Like, even just around the house, as we all come together, and my daughter was infamous for saying, you know, about 4 or 5 years ago, you know, I'm trying to be the best dad I could be. I'm trying to be fair as a father. And she looked at me and was like, hey, you act like this house is a huddle. This house ain't no huddle. Like you, every time you step in, you act like you stepping in the huddle to call a play. And like, out of all my fondest memories with her, man, it was like that one stick out because, you know, she kind of put me in my place. And she was probably like 13 or 14 in, and now she's 18, man. And living a different life. You know, she got friends and, you know, she got associates and you know, she's also driving. So, you know, it's just a different part of life. And, you know, I just continue to wake up and pray every day that God got his hand over us, you know?
Yeah, man. God bless her, man. And happy birthday. So funny you mentioned driving. Sydney was home. She just left today, right before I headed out to the office. She's driving back to the 7-5, going back to Norfolk, man. She was home on fall break. I'm bugging out, looking at her like, yo, you just driving like you an adult for real. Like, you driving back. Took some food to go and everything.
Yeah. We remember those days, cuz.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
God is good, man.
God is good, man. I want to take a moment real quick. This guy's not a sponsor, but he was at Tech with Mike, and I want to shout out Jim Ferrugio. He was at Tech with us, man. He hit me up last week and wanted to give us a small donation to the VICK757 Show. He's not a sponsor yet, but there are plans for him to join that great sponsorship package that we offer a lot of our sponsors. Just want to shout out his company real quick. It's Building by Design, located in Northern Virginia, up here where I'm at. Preferred home remodeling company that focuses on complete kitchen, bath, and basement renovations. It's a Class A home builder's license, insured and bonded in the state of Virginia. Call them for in-home consultations at 571-436-3461, or check them out online at bbdccontracting.com. So, you know, Northern Virginia, they always building something, man. So if you Hokies out there in the 703-571 want to get something done, we all know that remodeling when you're a homeowner is big. Hit up Jim Ferrugio. He's all Hokie. He's a great guy. And he was also our teammate. He wasn't some All-American. You know, you a Hokie. So, Mike, we got a few minutes before Danny jumps on, man. This is going to be a quick show, ladies and gentlemen, because Mike's going to go and be with his family, but we still want to give you that VICK757 flavor, talking all things tech. This is the first time we got Miami back, and this is going to be an interesting year because for the first time, as we mentioned last week, 1995 was the last time my redshirt freshman year we played them, and it wasn't on ESPN. This became one of the premier rivalries in the Big East and ACC, and a national rivalry that is now not going to be on the ESPN. On top of it, the ACC next year is moving away from divisions, so essentially this is not a game that will occur every year anymore. It'll occur,
Right.
but it won't occur like it normally did because there will be no divisions, man.
Right.
You know, Miami, both teams come in with losing records. That's also the first time in forever that's ever happened. We're 2-4, coming off a tough loss to Pittsburgh. And then we also have Miami, who I believe has lost like us. I don't have my numbers in front of me, either 2 or
At
3
least
straight.
3.
At least 3. Carolina, Middle Tennessee State, and I want to say Texas A&M, man. So they're both limping in. They're coming to Blacksburg. I know Hokie Nate's going to show up, man. Just real quick, because when it comes to Miami, you and I played in it. You know, you were in it, and I was in it. It was crazy. I remember real quick. I remember telling you as I was leaving Tech, you know, you were taking over the starting job, and I told you, Dre, Emmett, and all y'all, I said, keep your head on a swivel, because them Canes are aggressive. They you got to, you know, and they talk trash. And we come from an area where talking trash is normal, but it was a different level, man. You played in some great Miami, Virginia Tech legendary games, man. You know, just talk about what it means to beat the Canes. And you were 1-1 against them, but that second one was fishy because you had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, let's recap on that second one before I get into the first one and then into the tradition. The second one, we was about to mop them up, man. My second year, we was about to get them work. And I came off that Jaguar. For those who played in the offense with me, that Jaguar, you know what Jaguar with that speed option.
Uh-huh.
I made that cut on that 9 technique. I don't know who he was, but he probably played in the pros. Cut it up on him. And all I seen was daylight. And I'm coming off an ankle sprain. I set out the week before, and I tried to put my foot in the ground, and I couldn't. Mm-hmm. So I seen the daylight, tried to put my foot in the ground, couldn't. We probably would have walked through him that day. And then at Lane, we caught him slipping, and we beat him 43-10. Kenny Kelly was the quarterback. They had a pretty good team. Clint Portis, the running backs, Santana Moss, and Reggie Wayne and all those guys, Ed Reed and Al Blaze, rest in peace. And they had a really good team. Nate Webster and you know, some of the guys that you probably smashed up the year before, but you know, we was able to you know, put a hurting on them too. We was able to get out of there with a victory. And you know, I tell you what, man, just in terms of the tradition and playing Miami, you know, you're gonna get trash talk, like you just said, and it's gonna be 100 miles and running because they don't care. And you know, that's just their culture. They wild. They gonna try to intimidate you, and they're gonna test your patience, and they're gonna test you. But you know, the thing is, man, just keep it in between the lines. I think for our team, and just focus on trying to get a win. Like they had some losses, like you said, and you know, they in the same position we in. They limping in.
Yeah. And they just came off a tough loss to North Carolina in Miami, and we came off a tough loss against Pittsburgh. Real quick, I'll just say this, man. You know, the Miami game is always special to me because Miami, the Big East was set up for them to dominate, and then we came in and rained on their parade, and it really became the Miami Virginia Tech show with us taking turns along with Syracuse in the mix. And then when they expanded and they went to the ACC, they left and went to the ACC. Virginia Tech and Miami continue their rivalry. But it's a great game, even though both teams are coming in limping, losing records. I think you're going to see both teams' best effort. It's not so much a must-win game because I don't think either team will play for the ACC championship, but it's still it's a conference game. And conference games are always big, and they're always important. And it's going to be physical, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm serious. I will say this. I was very happy to see our team fight back against Pittsburgh. You and I talked after that game. And I saw some quotes today from Andy Bitter, and a lot of the players felt like, and I knew it because I could see it, that they had a lot of confidence, and they learned a lot of confidence from that game. So I'm curious to see them, how they respond this week. It's a 12:30 kickoff, man. So it's going to be it's going to be an opportunity to make a statement. Only Virginia Tech and Canes fans are going to care about it, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is, man. I'm happy to see the fact that the kids aren't quitting on pride. So
and Dwight, when I was able to talk to the team, I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't have the words to say because I just knew, like, you know, I don't want to get a whole bunch of false chatter and a bunch of false rah-rah. My message was on preparation and just being resilient. And I can envision this moment happening, and us going through a tough stretch, as me, you, and Danny discussed, knowing that it could be this way. And I say all that to say, my message to the team was to continue to fight and to continue to just practice hard, work hard, study hard, and be prepared for moments like this, because you can learn a lot through your losses. So my message was in the preparation, and even in the loss, you can figure out, you can find out a lot of things that can be done right, and you can correct it. So hopefully they still understand that message, or they're still reliving somewhere in the back of their mind, and let it all hang out this week.
No doubt, man. And speaking of letting it all hang out, man, this guy Danny, he never stops letting it all hang out when it comes to breaking down Washington Commanders, the Caps, everybody in the DC area. I was just talking to him literally last night on 106.7 The Fan. So Danny joins us for the Noke segment, sponsored by Hall of Fame Sports Signings. Man, Danny, how you doing?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How are we today?
Good, man.
Oh, great, man.
It's Mike's daughter's birthday. Which one? Not London, right?
Jada.
Jada.
Yeah,
the oldest one. Yeah, man. Yeah.
We'll tell Jada we said happy birthday, Mike.
I will.
I hope you guys have. I hope she's having a good day. Yeah, hope she's having a good day. Hope you guys have fun tonight with whatever you got going on. Dwight was saying, man, we've already got a little head start on this breakdown of the Pitt game and looking ahead to the Miami game, because we were both on 106.7 The Fan last night chopping it up.
Nice. I definitely want to hear. I definitely want to hear the recap from y'all, because I was traveling out to Los Angeles and called Dwight to get some recap, and he gave me some recap, and just curious to see what you thought, what you saw, any improvements, anything, any areas we can get better.
Well, Danny, before you jump on and give us the recap and preview the matchup with Miami, let me read off Hall of Fame signings that sponsors your segment. They put on the biggest show in Cooperstown featuring all of the baseball Hall of Famers. They do multiple events in New York and New Jersey with baseball and football's biggest stars. They bring out athletes to events all over the country. Like, follow, and subscribe to their social media account at Hall of Fame Signings, and stop by their website for all future signing updates. Also, the thing I like the most about them, if you can't make it to an event, you can also send them the paraphernalia you want signed, and they'll get it back to you. So check them out, man. Thank you again. Danny, you up, man? What do you got, man? What are you thinking? What did you feel?
Well, I think when we look at this game, and on paper, everybody that certainly doesn't have any stake in Virginia Tech like we do, right? You just look at you look at Abanacanda's game, north of 300 yards, 6 touchdowns, and you say, wow, okay, well,
that was crazy.
That was crazy. And you would
props for that.
You do. And on paper, you look at the score, you might just think that Virginia Tech got boat raced in that game. And that's just not true. It was actually a lot closer than the score indicated. And Pittsburgh really wasn't able to move the ball through the air very efficiently at all. And what we talked about on this segment last week, guys, was what Georgia Tech was able to do in their upset against Pittsburgh was they were able to stop the run, specifically Abanikanda, who wasn't even their leading rusher in that game. So he flips it around. What does he do? He comes out, he runs for 3 bills and 6 touchdowns. So you do have to give him credit. And Narduzzi, to his credit, loves to run the football, and he always gets his guys in a position to be able to do that, along with their ability to play defense. I think that Narduzzi, and this is just me gathering tidbits of his mannerisms and the way that he's acted on the sideline in games against Tech in the past. I think he has a bias against Tech, and he really likes to beat Virginia Tech. So if he can find a way to stick it to Virginia Tech, he will. And in this case, it just was giving Abanikanda the ball again and again and again and again. Yeah. And, he had a great game. There's no doubt about it. But like Dwight and I were talking about yesterday, I had several statistical categories and things that I saw in this game from Virginia Tech that I thought was their best of the season. Their best of the season, not their worst of the season. It was by far their most efficient offensive game. And that includes Rhode Island. That includes Boston College, the teams that they've actually beat. So the way that I'm measuring the season from here on out is how well they're able to progress from week to week. How much development is there? Are they getting better? Are the penalties coming down? Is the offensive line being more consistent, right? Is Grant Wells making less and less mistakes, which I think he is? And I think every week the team will gain a little bit of confidence. It's not resulting in wins just yet, but the fact that they took in my eyes, a significant step forward in several facets of the game is at least a positive takeaway.
Well, Danny, before I read you this quote by senior linebacker Dax Hollifield, I wanted to say this too. I interviewed Narduzzi back when I was partnering up with Kyle Bailey at the ACC Media Day. And this is when he was new to Pitt and he was building a program. And he told us, because everybody's there at ACC Media Day, he said, if I could get some guys looking like me and to be physical. He said that. He said, look, he pointed to me and he said, they in a lot of ways, he probably won't come out and say it, but at that time, Beamer was on his way out. But he said, I want to model my program a lot like Virginia Tech. So I think it's not so much animosity. It's more so in football, you show respect by smacking somebody.
Sure.
So like, you beat
somebody.
Try
to take out recruits.
Yeah.
Nah,
so exactly.
I ain't going for that. We ain't going for that.
No.
So let me read.
Go ahead.
I know Mike got me weak because I'm with him, right? So check it. I saw this quote, and I wanted to read this to both you and Mike. And Dan, I want your thoughts on this. Linebacker, this is per Andy Bitter at the presser today. A linebacker, Dax Hollifield, and the Hokies coming into this game this week against Miami. All it takes is one game to ignite a spark in us. We got a lot of confidence last week. Even though the scoreboard wasn't the outcome that we wanted, all it takes is one. What do you think about that, man?
I think he's exactly right. I think that you could take a very specific moment too where Tech went from an absolutely horrible season and then with a little jolt of energy and confidence, it completely turned around. And it goes back to 2019, Dwight, in that Miami game, which nobody expected Virginia Tech to go and win on the road. It was I think it was Hendon Hooker's first start.
Yeah, it was. Don't say that name on.
I know. I know. And he had
killing it.
His individual performance had a lot to do with the turnaround of the back half of that season. But I'll remind you too, though, in that Miami game, several turnovers were forced by Virginia Tech, and they gave the Hokies short field on a number of occasions that helped them put up as many points and ultimately hold on to win. And they actually ended up having a pretty good season.
Didn't Caleb Farley get 3 of them?
Did he get 3 in that game?
I know he got 2. I know he's now with the Tennessee Titans, former Virginia Tech defensive back, playing for the Tennessee Titans. But yeah, I know he got 2. I want to say 3, but either way, you're right. I know he got 2, but we turned him over a lot.
Yeah. Sidebar, by the way, Caleb Farley, love him. Boy, did he get toasted this weekend trying to cover De'Ami Brown.
I don't want to say anything, but yeah, man, we gotta.
Man,
Hokies. Look, it's all the VT Hokies out there, man. Let's stay on our grind.
I know. I'm not trying to dog him.
I know, but still, whether you're playing in the pros, whether you're coaching in high school football, whether you're coaching on the college level, where you're doing podcasts like us, everybody stay on your grind. Everybody stay on your toes and stay hungry, man. Like, real, like no slipping. Everybody watching everybody.
So if I get back to what Dwight was asking, which is what do you think about Dax's quote where all it takes is one, right? All it takes is one instance, one thing to happen. I think he's right. And I think, it could be for this season, the Miami game that turns things around again for this football program. And Miami obviously has had its own struggles this year. Cristobal coming over as a first-year head coach, played at Miami, had some success at Oregon. He's still got a lot of work to do, despite the fact that they're never not going to have good recruiting classes. They always pull in dudes. They always got dudes, right? So, but we all know that, especially in college football, you have to establish a culture to sustain success and to consistently win football games. And no one at Miami has been able to do that over the last, coming up on 20 years, I guess, since the Hurricanes were really last national championship contenders. Yeah. And so I think you have an opportunity here. It's going to be homecoming. There's going to be a lot of energy in the stadium as Tech fans always bring it, even in a down season. But Miami has shown that they'll give up points, right? Mid-Tennessee State was absolutely burning them in every facet of the game. And I was looking at some stats right now because I wanted to see where they were at. Where's their rushing defense? Where's their passing defense at? And right now, this is Miami's passing defense that's sitting at 105th in the country right now. Tech's passing defense is a lot higher up, right? Number 40. And we're talking about defenses right now, but you want an opportunity to continue to develop that offense, right? It seems like most of the concern has been around the offense to start the season for Coach Pry and the Hokies. This is actually a pretty good opportunity to try and get back on track on a team that has been giving up points. But we said this about North Carolina, so not taking it for granted, but it's another opportunity to show that they're improving like the Pittsburgh game was.
Hey, I say this. I like the attitude. I understand where you're coming from. And yes, optimism is great. You got to spread that around the locker room. That's important. You need the leaders to step up. But, let's start taking on that mindset, regardless of where you at. Let's alleviate the record. It don't even matter. Don't go into these games hoping to win. Go into these games knowing you're gonna win. So it's a difference in that attitude. Like I'm about to go into this game and I'm gonna dominate. We're gonna win this game. Like we're gonna win, and then you play to a winning level of expectation from yourself and everybody else. So you can psych yourself out to be a champion, and that's what you got to do. That's what the great ones do. They psych themselves out. Jordan used to do it. He make himself go crazy, thinking like the next man was just talking trash. Like find something that's going, to everybody out there, just find something that's going to ignite you. Like what's going to ignite you? Is it being ACC Player of the Week? Is it, my mom in the stands watching? Like today, I'm gonna try to get 3 picks. I'm gonna try to get 2 sacks, and it might not come in the first quarter, second quarter, but that effort of trying to get that sack can lead to some winning football. And so I just want to say, I love the way you talk, and I love the jogging. Let's go, let's get it. Like it only take one. But going to this game knowing that y'all gonna win, not hoping, and for the rest of the season, and for a lifetime.
I love it. That mindset you're talking about is infectious if you really believe it. I was just finished watching last night. I was up late and I watched shout out and rest in peace to the great Kobe Bryant. I finally got a chance to watch the Redeem Team. I know we're talking football, but it's sports, it's life. And Kobe Bryant's mindset in the roughest part of his life when he joined that team, he came on there and his dedication. He got all those guys getting up early, and he got them to believe they were going to win. And I think that's definitely what Mike's talking about. Danny, you got literally 5 minutes. I want to ask you this before you jump off. With this game coming up, we talked about like how they, it was looking ugly. They were up 16, was it 16-7 they were up, or 16-9?
7-9. 16-7, yeah.
They were up 16-7. Yeah. And they had all the momentum. Then Pittsburgh responded. And then Virginia Tech continued to make the worst timely penalties, pre-snap penalties, getting themselves sacked, getting them out of field goal range. But then they came back and fought, and they made it, I believe, 31-29, right?
Yeah. 2-point game.
What I saw in the second half is the youth movement. Malachi Thomas, number 13, a receiver, right? You saw all these young guys on offense and defense, redshirt freshmen and sophomores, making the game-winning plays that didn't lead to a win. But with that being said, there's been a lot of talk, we got to keep these kids red-shirted. We don't have the depth. And I say, you know what? If they can play them. I mean, I'm sorry. D, what you thinking, man?
I'm with you on that, right? And our friend Chris Coleman from Tech Sideline might not be, because I know one of his catchphrases is always be redshirting, right? Shout out to Chris and Tech Sideline. They do a great job.
We bumping heads on that. That's my dude.
I know.
Here a few weeks ago.
I know, and I think you're right, especially in this scenario, dude, because we don't have the depth. We can't get boat raced off the field. Against a Miami team, because we're not willing to trot somebody out there that should be out there, right? Dwayne Lofton is someone that had a good game. He's just a sophomore, came in and had a couple of big catches. Talk about that youth movement, Dwight. He's a guy that I thought we saw step up in that game. And yeah, I'd love getting Malachi Thomas back, man. I think he obviously gives the offense a jolt. 5.6 yards per carry against Pittsburgh. And I think when you're able to pair him with Keyshawn King in a game that you don't fall behind in early, they'll probably be able to use them a lot more effectively. And we've seen what Malachi Thomas would do. I remember his breakout game last year was the Syracuse game, which I actually got to be there for in person. So that was really cool. We saw the best of Caleb Smith too. 9 catches for 152 yards. He's obviously not a part of the youth movement. He's one of the elder statesmen on this team, but they also need those older guys, the captains and the leaders of the team to step up and continue to make plays too. You know, guys like Jaden Blue, who we haven't seen a whole lot of. You know, guy had a really successful career at Temple before he got here. Coaches got to give him some shots, though, right? You got to get him some targets. You got to find a way to get him the ball. So I think they're figuring all of that out. You know, we've spent all of this time talking about the players and their development, which is obviously the most important thing. But going back to the coaches, too, they're all relatively new at what they're doing as well. Brent Pry's a brand new head coach. Bowen's a new offensive coordinator. So they're all learning as well, and they're doing it together. And so I just think that this Miami team, there's holes in it. If you're able to get on them early and keep this crowd in the game, that there's a real chance that you could do some damage on Saturday.
Yeah, the crowd will be definitely there. I mean, they showed up 3 weeks ago for 11 a.m. kickoff in the whiteout. The game was sold out. They were playing at 11 a.m. against Wofford, and Tech fans were in the house. You know, so, you know, Danny, man, you know, I enjoyed talking with you last night on 1067 The Fan DC, and we enjoyed having you on for Notes, man. I appreciate you, man. And, you know, enjoy the game this weekend. We appreciate you, man. I'm sure we'll touch base, man, you know, talk about hopefully a Tech win, man. So we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, gents. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
All right.
Go Hokies.
Yes, sir.
All right, Danny, have a good one.
You too.
That's Danny Noakes, man. Noakes segment sponsored by Hall of Fame Signings, man. So once again, man, Danny came in with the energy, man, in the right mindset. But he gave us the insight, but he's not playing, we're not playing. So hopefully the players are listening, the coaches are watching, man.
Yeah.
So from one great guest to another, man, we are now joined by Josh Morgan, one of the Virginia Tech all-time greats. Also, Washington Commanders, but back then the Washington Redskins, Walter Payton, Man of the Year in 2013, man.
Nice.
Josh, yeah, man. Josh, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Oh, we killing it, man. We good. We feeling good. I'm glad to have you on, man.
Good, bro.
Man, it's a pleasure to be on. What's good, big homie?
Where you at right now, Josh?
Man, I'm in the city.
Okay.
I'm in the city of DC. Yeah.
All right. Nice.
How you? Where you at?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, man. Fort Lauderdale, between Fort Lauderdale and back home. You know, family's still down there. But yeah, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you, man. Appreciate it, man. Always good to be with the legend, man.
Yeah, we
appreciate holler at Mark too, man. I ain't seen Mark in a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna get Mark up here at some point.
Yeah, I need to get you know, I've been begging for him. I know he don't like to do all this, but this fam, you know, I want to get him on so he can you know, I see him on IG with those crazy recruiting stories. And you seen him, Josh, on his Instagram? Them stories,
he keeping it real though.
He keeping it real. I love him. I love
he keeping it 100. Like, he keeping it 100.
Yeah.
Josh, man, you know, it's funny. You and I were talking the other day, man, because you're a busy man, and I was chopping up with Thomasina. I'm tight with her younger sister, Sandra. So we were just talking about, and then all the great things and trying to get you on. And what was amazing is, you know, we were talking about your career at Tech, and I always do research, even though I may know a player or maybe remember watching them play. I start going over all your catches, and you were like, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, like you had that big one. That big body one against Georgia Tech, and you were like, yeah, your cousin was there. Mike was there when y'all went down to Atlanta. You showed out. And then you had that one against Florida State. Tyrod threw that joint in the corner. Remember that? When you know, y'all, I don't know if it was a pick play, but you were one of my favorite receivers. And you from DC. And DC players typically do well. But I'm going to give you a chance to talk about your favorite memories at Tech before we jump into some of the other stuff you're doing, man. Like, go back to your time at Tech, man, because that receiving group you were a part of was really good. And I'm going to just say this before you answer this question. You definitely should be in contention to be in the Virginia Tech Sports Hall of Fame. For those who don't remember, when he retired or left Tech and graduated and moved on to the NFL, he was drafted. But before he was drafted, he retired, finished his career at Tech with 122 receptions, and he had 1,817 receiving yards, a 15.0 average, 16 touchdowns, and finished his career with 2,400 435 all-purpose yards. So you were one of the greats, man. And this is as the time Tech started opening up more offensively. But what did you
Nah,
think
they ain't
about?
start opening up yet.
Yeah. That's
We
gonna
was
be
still
my
running the
question. I
ball.
want to hear him answer this question. But I got some questions. I want to know.
We're talking. Look, hold on. I'm talking compared to when I played. We ran the ball on 3rd and 7.
Yes,
We did too. We did too.
I used to be over there. I used to be over there cringing, like, "Oh man, if this is my path to the pros, I'm done."
Yeah.
But go ahead, Josh, man. What do you remember? What was it like for you?
I mean, I definitely remember everything you just said, man. Just leaving there, and realizing that was a great accomplishment, man. Because when I left there, I was 4th all time on the Virginia Tech receiving list. Man, you know what I'm saying? I love my brother Eddie, but it was always a, friendly competition, positive peer pressure. So for me to lead there and to be ahead of Eddie Royal and David Clowney and Josh Hammond and all the other great receivers I played for, and for me to be ahead of all of them on that list, it was definitely a great accomplishment, man. But there's so many great memories being down there. For one, my freshman year, that game at Georgia Tech, my freshman year, when I had a 17, when Jimmy Williams had number 2. That was a great comeback my freshman year with me, Eddie, and all that, and sparking that with Brian Randall, picking apart that Georgia Tech defense down there. That was a great memory. That Sugar Bowl, when I went off in the Sugar Bowl, that was definitely a great memory for me. I just wish we had a little bit more time on the clock, but scoring them 2 touchdowns to get us back in the game, it definitely was like one of them moments where, like, man, I could really do this, and I could not only do it, but it's Carlos Rogers on the other end of, on the defensive end. And, at that time, that was a Sugar Bowl record. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was just a lot of memories like that. And it was always fun coming to Atlanta, with you down there on the sidelines and coming to Georgia and just doing our thing, man. I was telling your cousin, man, I remember that game he talking about. That was my junior year. I had number 2. And me and Tyrod used to switch your cleats. So whoever had your cleats that day always ended up having a great game. Yeah, the white and black Vicks.
He told me that. I was like, yo, they were fire.
That's what's up.
Yeah, whichever one of us had them on that game, we always had a great game. And luckily, it was my turn to have them on. But definitely putting on shows like that. But I think the most important memory down there, just for the Blacksburg community, was that season we had after the shooting happened down there. You know what I'm saying? That season we had our senior year and coming back and winning the ACC championship and doing everything we did, I feel like it was definitely the most important thing we did down there, being in Blacksburg and bringing that community back together after everything that happened.
No doubt.
Hey, Josh, when Dwight mentioned offenses and mentioned your accolades, you didn't seem too excited, So I mean, look, it sounded like a lot of work was being put in, and a lot of accomplishments was made. But who was your quarterbacks through your tenure, and who was the offensive coordinator that you give credit for your success to during your time?
Man, honestly and truly, and this been one of the stories about my whole career, I never had the same quarterback 2 years in a row, my whole career since I started. So my first year was Brian Randall. Then the next year was your brother Marcus. And then the year after that, it was Sean Glennon. And then the year after that, Tyrod took over. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So that's 4 different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I never had the same quarterback 2 years in a row since I've been playing. Since I ever played football, I never had the same quarterback 2 years in a row. It was the same way in the league. But my offensive coordinator, I would think the guy that really helped me the most was Kevin Rogers. You know what I'm saying? We had Steiny was there. Yeah, he helped me the most. Like the way he broke it down to me and started helping me read them defenses. Coming as a freshman, my freshman year, man, it felt like I was cheating after that. You know what I'm saying?
So
especially
now,
with all the others.
And then the experience he had working with Marvin Harrison for all those years and Donovan in Syracuse, it probably was some carryover. So that's pretty cool.
It felt like I was cheating. Yeah,
that's so crazy he said that. I'm sorry, Josh. It's so crazy he said Kevin Rogers. So on the way here, I was listening to Nova Legends podcast, and Sean and Mike Glennon were on there. And Sean Glennon talked about why he chose Tech. And he talked about he had a lot of love for Beamer, but he said what really drew him was Kevin Rogers. The same thing Josh is saying, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He,
No, that's
he
pretty
was
good. Great
definitely an
offensive mind.
offensive genius. Yeah, definitely an offensive genius. Definitely broke it down in a way that helped us understand. And like I said, it felt like he made it seem so simple. Like I ain't never had nobody make football seem that simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Broke
Game
down cover 2, cover 1, everything.
Yeah. How to beat it. How to beat a defense.
Yeah.
Everything, man.
That's crazy. I do want to make sure for those listening on Spotify and those watching on our YouTube channel, this segment of Josh Morgan is sponsored to you by the Hokie Way, an independent nonprofit organization that will create active engagement for Virginia Tech student athletes along with the Commonwealth NIL, man. So wanted to make sure that's this segment sponsoring. Josh, before we get into Hokie trivia, man, which is going to be a great segment, our Hokie shout-outs to wrap up the show. When I was talking to Thomasine and I was looking at you, I told you, and I did because I live in the DMV, I live in Northern Virginia. When I was a kid, I was a big Washington. I can't get used to Commanders, but I was a big Washington Skins fan. I'll just say Skins. And I was happy you went up there and you had some great moments with them. I know you played for some other teams, man, but I'll just say this, and you can respond to how you want. I felt like you were always the constant pro. I felt like on and off the field, obviously you were recognized as the Walter Payton Man of the Year. But I thought on the field you were a great receiver. I thought, sometimes as you mentioned, quarterback play systems kind of hurt or help players. And I feel like sometimes, I know Washington is an organization sometimes hit or miss with ownership and things like that, but you never came out and complained. You never said, I need more balls. And I feel like sometimes you don't get your just due because you always just been a good person, low key, just I'm gonna do my job type thing. Do you ever feel like if you were more outspoken, you would get more recognition? And I mean, Hokie Nation loves you, but I'm just talking about as far as career wise. What do you think about that?
Man, no, I definitely agree with you, man. But I was always like I said, I was always one of them team players. Like I've been spoiled by football. You know what I'm saying? Football was my second sport. Basketball was my first sport. You know what I'm saying? But ever since I started playing football in the 7th grade, I've been winning championships. I won 1 in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Then took off a year, came close, lost in the semifinal, then won my senior year, leaving out of high school. Won the ACC championship my first year at VTech, and then won the ACC championship my last year at VTech. You know what I'm saying? So I was always just bred to be a team player. And I was always that kind of guy. They used to call me, I was like a corkscrew. You know what I'm saying? I was a big physical receiver, but I was also one of the fastest receivers on the team. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6'1", 219, but benching with the linebackers, but also running with the fastest DB. You know what I'm saying? So I was always one of them type of talents where you could put me anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But another one of my favorite memories at VTech was when they put me in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? I scored in the backfield versus Southern Miss. You know what I'm saying? With Ike Whitaker at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But I was always that type of guy where you could put me anywhere, and whether it be kickoff, return, and I try to run it back, or on the punt block team. I had a couple block punts, you know what I'm saying, at VTech too. So I feel like I damn sure should have been more outspoken, especially when I got to the league because, you know what I'm saying, like they always say, closed mouth don't get fed. And if you don't say nothing, then they just think you okay with your role. You know what I'm saying? But you got guys, Mike know how the league go. They got their guys that they want to be the guy, and they want to get them at least 10 touches a game. You know what I'm saying? 10 throws a game and all this and that. And I'm the guy that's, you know what I'm saying, making sure the other guys eat. I was a guy, when I got drafted to the 49ers, blocking the DN to make sure Frank got them 80-yard runs, versus Seattle, versus the Seahawks and stuff like that.
Right.
But I was also the guy that, man, you came out there and you gave me a chance to make a play, I was going to make a play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even when we played y'all at Philly, man, that was always my favorite playing Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had me a kick return, and I was the most
everywhere.
After that game, I was just trying to make a play, man. It was always good to see, man, the legend, the big homie, on the other end, you know what I'm saying, on the sideline, man, you doing your shit. Doing your shit as always.
No, I was gonna say very unselfish. Go ahead, cuz
I was just gonna say, I remember. No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, for the record, I had him on my fantasy team one year, and I remember that. Because I had you too.
Oh,
I had you when that year when the Miracle in the Meadowlands 2, when y'all came back. Yeah, I won the
Right.
championship. You and Deshaun went ham in the
That's a big
second half.
game.
But I had
Big game.
Josh. I had Josh one year because he got those points in my league. I got crazy system. He would get those hidden yardage, and he was like you said, a corkscrew. But go ahead, cuz.
Yeah. Now I was just gonna ask him. I know you've been paying. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Virginia Tech and where we are, and you know, I know you said you wish at times you could have been more outspoken. Give you a chance to be a little more outspoken. I know as you watch us as we go through the growing pains throughout the season, if you can share a couple words with the team right now, what would be like a couple key messages that you'll try to get across to the young guys that's out there that's fighting to try to make this work and you know, try to win the game?
Man, the main thing I would say to them young guys, man, is to just really, truly trust the process because, you know, they got a great coaching staff now. You know what I'm saying? They got people that have been through the culture, that know the culture, that have been through the grind that they can actually relate to. You know what I'm saying? And what they saying, they know it's facts. They not one of these coaches that ain't never played the game. You know what I'm saying? You got a great coaching staff down there. So just trust the process and really adapt to the culture, man. Don't make it about yourself. You know, when I was down there at VTech, I think, we was my class was the winningest class in VTech history. You know what I'm saying? We had 10 plus wins every year. And most of that was just the unselfishness and knowing when to lock in. You know what I'm saying? Y'all done made it through all the hard part. Y'all done made it through the I don't know if Gentry ain't there, so I don't know if they doing the man makers and all that stuff. But the 6 a.m.s, I don't know if they doing all that, but the winter workouts and all that, y'all done put in the work, man. So just trust yourself, man. Really go out there, and when it's time to lock in, you guys zone out and block out all the noise. Like it was a saying when we was there, we all we got, we all we need, and that's all it was. We ain't need nobody but us. Whoever was VT was family. Everybody else, excuse my French, it was fuck them. There ain't nobody, man. We all we got, we all we need, and we going. Man, I'm gonna ride for my brother. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is. So at the end of the day, man, just go out there and be great, man. Because the better you are to the team, and the better you are in those clutch moments. And that's one thing I took pride in, man. Them clutch moments, I always showed up the biggest. So the better you are in them clutch moments, man, the better the better the team gonna be. And that's all it is right now, man. Simple stuff. All the little details gonna help you be great in everything. You know what I'm saying? It's the simple stuff like taking care of the ball better. You can't go on the road and win when it's turnovers. You know what I'm saying? It's already hard enough to get, man. You know the percentages, man. It's already hard enough as it is to go on the road and get a win. You gotta take care of the ball better. You just gotta go, man. In order to get everything you ever wanted in this life, you gotta do the shit you never did before. And part of doing the shit you never did before is pushing yourself to the limit every day in practice. You can't get comfortable with the competition you're going out in practice. You gotta get ready for, man. It's 2 million other people trying to get you drafted into the league and win these games too. You know what I'm saying? So you guys just had this fuck everybody mentality because that's what it is, man. But if you're not, then they taking food off your plate. You can't let nobody come in your house and take food off your place, man. So just get a pride, man. Get a sense of pride about yourself. Get a sense of swag about yourself and go out there and get what y'all deserve. Don't let nobody take food off y'all plate. Because at the end of the day, man, that's what it is, man. Every time we take an L, man, that's food out your plate. That's a house you could have bought your mother. You know what I'm saying? That's a way of living that you could change your whole family dynamic, man. So y'all gotta really take pride of it and think about it different, man, because it's people like me that ain't had nothing when they came to VTech. You know what I'm saying? Really came to VTech without a home to go back to and made my way through. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I put on my pants the same way y'all do. So if y'all really want to get it, then go get it by any means necessary, whatever the cost. Go get it.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna
Coach Pride, we gotta get Coach Pride down to DC. We're gonna end it on that. Coach Pride gotta get to DC and find the next Josh Morgan, baby.
Hey, listen, that's what I'm saying. When you get a chance, we need to get that what we just heard in front of them boys, man, because the more guys that's been through them wars, Mike, you set it off. We got that what he just said. I'm zoned out, taking me back to the 90s when I played, and that's the right mindset, man. But we're gonna end it on that. We're gonna transition into Alexandria Restaurant Partners Hokie Trivia, man. We got 3 questions. We're not doing 4 today because we got to get Mike out of here so we can celebrate Jada's birthday. So we're gonna jump into Alexandria Restaurant Partners Hokie Trivia, and I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, but real quick. Alexandria Restaurant Partners was formed in 2015-16, in 18, building an exceptional leadership team that includes some of the best talent and sharpest minds in the industry. They were built with one goal in mind, to be the nation's, not the biggest, but the best in excellence, leading the way with integrity and being transparent. Visit AlexandriaRestaurantPartners.com to learn about careers, private events, and also for catering and all the offers. So, gentlemen, we got 3 today. We normally do 4, but I went in my bag to pull out 3 good questions to see how y'all do. This is a fan favorite Hokie trivia. People play, believe it or not, Mike, Josh, people play along at home and they do it while they drive and listen on Spotify. So fans always say, yo, I was 2 or 3, or where you get that one from? So we're going to start off with this one. Here we go. Which of these Virginia Tech football players was not a walk-on at Virginia Tech? So this player, all these players played at Virginia Tech, but one was not a walk-on. The other ones were eventually earning a scholarship. So was it Willie Byrne, wide receiver? Was it B, John Engelberger, defensive end? Was it C, Jared Ferguson, fullback? Or D, Brendan Motley, quarterback? Josh, I'll go with you first. You can answer first. This one was not a walk-on. So again, this player, they all played at Tech. 3 of them were walk-ons. One was never a walk-on. One was a scholarship from jump.
Not a walk-on.
Willie
Dang,
Byrne.
I can't even remember. Was Engelberger?
Willie Byrne, John Engelberger, Jared Ferguson, or Brendan Motley?
I'm going to go with Willie Byrne.
Willie Byrne. All right, Josh. Cuz, who you got?
I know Jared was a walk-on. I remember his story. I'm trying to think, was Berger a walk-on, man? I'm with you, John. I'm trying to think because
I think so. I think he was a walk-on and made it through special teams. Yeah.
I'm going to say Engelberger. Oh, you said it was not a walk-on.
Not a walk-on.
Motley.
Motley, okay. All right. Cuz, you got it right. It was Brendan Motley. He played at Christiansburg High School, was a great quarterback in Southwest Virginia. I believe he took to the state champ. I'm sure somebody in the comment section is going to correct me. I think he either took him to a championship or they lost in the States or whatever. Jared Ferguson was a walk-on. He came up there. He said his first practice, he was out there smacking people, and they gave him a scholarship shortly after. John Engelberger was a walk-on from Northern Virginia out of Springfield. Came up there looking like he played for the Denver Nuggets. Next thing you know, he was in the NFL playing for the Broncos. Willie Byrne is from the 757, played at First Colonial. I actually used to talk to him. I mentored him out of high school. He chose Tech over William & Mary. He had an offer from William & Mary, but he walked on at Tech and shortly thereafter earned a scholarship. So some Virginia Tech, for those new fans, used to have a phenomenal walk-on program back in the 2000s and late 90s. All right, guys, here we go. This one is a tough one because this is old school, but it's a historic story. So maybe you know, maybe you don't. All right. During the 1989 Virginia Tech UVA football rivalry, a huge brawl broke out. Following the game, the fight broke out, right? Coach Frank Beamer had a couple of teeth knocked out from a straight punch from one of his own players. Which was who was the this is a true story? Who was the player? Was it Carter Wiley, Steve Johnson, or Jim Whitten? It's only 3 players. I mean, one of these is the guy.
Carter Wiley.
Carter Wiley. Carter Wiley. Steve Johnson. And Mike, you know that's your guy, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Steve Johnson, man.
Yeah, I was about to say Steve too. Steve.
Y'all think it was Steve?
Yeah.
Swing like he was Steve, like he's swinging everybody.
You know what? I would have picked Steve too, but the actual answer is Jimmy Whitten. Jim Whitten was the one that, Jimmy Whitten, his brother played with us. He was a backup lineman, Joe Whitten, but Jimmy was a great defensive player, man. He was, if you remember, Mike, he was a strength coach with Gentry and Sano. Coach Whitten. That's him.
Yeah, Jimmy Whitten. Yeah.
Joe Witten, Jimmy Witten.
Yes.
He used to be real, walking around with the tight shorts and sweats.
Yeah.
Like
that man a job out there knocked Damon teeth out.
Yeah, and the story was if y'all ask Bruce Garns, who is the Virginia Tech storytelling legend, Bruce would tell you, he turned around and said, "Help me find my teeth."
I'm surprised they gave that man a job out there. He knocked Damon teeth out.
It was an accident. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Corey Holt actually punched Beamer in the face in the ACC championship game.
For
Hit
real?
the field goal.
That.
Yeah, Josh, remember that? He was celebrating, stole Beamer right in the face, hit him in the jaw.
Wow. Sucker punch me.
All right, last one, gentlemen. Last one. Here we go. We all know about former Virginia Tech quarterback Brian Randall's remarkable game when he threw for 5 touchdowns against Syracuse in 2002. We also know about Gerard Evans, who also threw for 5 touchdowns against Boston College. What other quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns in the game? Was it A, Tyrod Taylor, B, Josh Jackson, C, Maurice Shazazo, or D, Will Ferrell? This quarterback threw for 5 touchdowns. You saying D, Mike?
D, Will Ferrell.
All right. Mike saying D. Josh. Is
I'm
either
go
Tyrod? You going with Ty? Okay.
I'm going to go with Ty.
All right.
I think I remember Ty doing something spectacular.
Well, all these guys did something spectacular, but I knew this was going to be a tough one because the correct answer is someone you probably wouldn't have guessed, and that was Josh Jackson. In 2017, he threw 5 against ECU. And the reason why is that we won that game. We scored 64 points, and that's the game Cam Phillips had that receiving individual game record. So,
okay.
Josh Jackson, who eventually, after his great starting rookie season, transferred to Maryland. I don't really know what happened when he transferred to the Terps, but shout out to Josh Jackson, man. He was good in the Hokie. I like Josh, but he ended up leaving. Broke his leg the following year at ODU in 2000. I forgot what year, but it was the following year he broke his leg and he transferred after sitting out.
He never made it back.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we're at the end of the show, man. This has been a lot of fun, man. I'm very honored to have you on, Josh, because like I told you, I don't say nothing I don't mean. You were fun to watch in the pros. You were fun to watch in the Hokie uniform. You from up the road from where I live in D.C., and when you look at what you did up there, I know people. You was a beast up there, man. And I used to work at Ballou in Southeast, and, you come out of D.C., it's like coming out of Newport News. A lot of guys don't make it that were just like you, but you put on for your city when you were at Tech. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a few moments or, just to shout out Hokie shout-outs. Anybody you want to shout out could be a teammate, a coach, a professor, someone you admire that has that Hokie blood running in them like you and I and Mike do.
Man, well, that's easy, man. I'm going to shout out all my teammates, man, especially the ones down there in the 7-5, man. Jimmy Williams, Chris Ellis, Marcus Vick, to Mike Emo up here in Northern Virginia, man, to everybody. All the homies, man. Big Man, Wayne Brown, Eddie Royal, everybody, man. Shout out to everybody. Vince Hall, Xavier Debe. Man, I can go on for everybody, man. Shout out to everybody that I played with, man. Everybody before me, man. From Vic all the way to Bruce Smith and them. Shout out to the whole VTech family, man. Because one thing about VTech, man, is definitely a family, man. Family is rare, man. So shout out to everybody that ever put on that burgundy and orange. I'm a maroon and orange. My bad.
I'll say the same thing. I don't know. Burgundy and maroon. That's real. That's real. Cuz, who you got, man?
I'm like Josh, man. I'm gonna name a couple people today. That's the type of mood I'm in. So, first off, Josh, man, thanks for coming on, man. Class act dude, man. Very well spoken, man. And I feel the vibe, feel the energy, man. You keep that up, and you keep, you keep that same attitude each and every day, and spread that amongst the people, man. Black, white, and different.
Yes, sir.
Ricky Hall, shout out to Ricky Hall. Ricky Hall was one of my guys. Shout out to Jared Ferguson, man. Definitely, Jared was a walk-on, correct? Jared was a walk-on. Jared came on and made his play behind Cullen Hawkins. Jared was a good dude, quiet man, but a hard-nosed football player. I think I turned it for validation. I turned the wrong way in the Sugar Bowl, and I ran into Jared, and people blame Jared, but they should be blaming me. So I'm gonna take the blame on Wax for that. And you know, Dave Meyer from Dave Meyer to Sharon Stiff. Man, so some of those who came before me, man, Andre Kendrick, Angelo Harris, you know what I mean? Guys who, you know, like was foundations, man, guys who I came in the locker room and looked up to, and then I'm gonna piece it together with Al Clark. So shout out to those guys and the Hokie family, those I didn't name, Ike Charlton, Midget, Savan Yale, man, these good people, man. Hokie family, for sure.
I'm gonna shout out two people, and they're technically Hokies. They are Hokies, and they also Hokie family, and they family for me and Mike. Excuse me. I'm gonna shout out our cousin Calethea, who's at Virginia Tech. You know what I'm saying? Playing tennis. And she was a beast when she was in the 7-5 in high school. Casey and Roberta used to always tell me, I know she ain't a football player, but it can be any Hokie. Right. Mike, when you saw my son Isaiah and Shanice up there, they had ran into Calethea. She was hosting some stuff, and she was tripping on how tall Isaiah was. But I just want to shout her out up there, man, because a lot of times, man, Virginia Tech's known for football, but there's a lot of great Hokies doing great things in this world. And she's one of them, man. And I also want to shout out, we talked about him earlier, Marcus, man. Mark, man, Mark, hey, man, Mark, one of my favorite my boy watching Aaron, he always talk about Mark was his guy. I love quarterbacks that when they played, Mark played with the whole Ridley projects on his shoulder, man. He had an attitude, he had an arm.
Unnecessarily.
If Mark come back,
well, you big, bro. You big.
Back,
say it, Josh. Say it, Josh.
If Mark come back that next year, we win a national championship.
I agree.
If he came back, we win the national championship.
I agree. And I will always say that. So God takes my last breath. I'm not even being a homer right now. And he was fun to watch. I'll say this too, man. When we watch people grow up in today's world with social media, even when Mike, when Mike was in Atlanta and all these guys, we talked about Kobe Bryant earlier, we're watching these guys grow up, man. Back when I was playing, you didn't have social media. So you didn't see every move I made, my mistakes, my shortcomings. We watched these guys, these young women as well, grow up. And Marcus is the father. He out here doing his thing. And my only regret is I couldn't play with him and Mike. You know what I'm saying? Because
let me say this on record too. Stories untold. Mark was, other than Jim McMahon, Mark was the first quarterback to come out with that dark shield. Mark was the first quarterback to swag out that shield and play with it and ball out. And I took it to Atlanta. I ain't want to, I would have cleared John, but my swag came through Mark, and Mark was the trendsetter behind that. So now you got all quarterbacks. People think I did. I'm gonna take credit for it on another level, but I took that swag from bruh. So bruh had it all, man. Good football player, smart football player as well, for sure.
Yeah, he was, man. He always talking about guys grading out, man. He was. I agree, Josh. If he comes back. And I remember that visor too. He used to be sweet with that. That visor was sweet.
Man. Sweet with that 5 on. Oh my God, Mark.
Man.
Mark might have been the best dressed Virginia Tech player. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Facts.
Yeah, man. And respectfully, I don't remember a quarterback. Not just at Tech. I don't remember a quarterback during my era, even after I was done, that played with that moxie, that took on linebackers and safeties and got in the middle of and scuffles. He personified that lunch pail on offense. He would get in, and they rallied around him. Don't get it twisted. Ty was nice, B. Randall, Mike, but Marcus was like, "Yo, it's whatever. What y'all want to do?" When y'all went, when y'all went to Maryland,
he
had guys like Josh backing him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Nah, man. No, but shout out to all the guys we named. I just got a text, and I'm glad she sent this to me, Josh. Before we wrap up and close out the show, let everybody know you got something very special coming on November 3rd. BET Sets 22 original holiday movie state featuring Neo, Romeo Miller, and so many other actors and actresses. You are in here. You're acting. You're playing. You're playing an NFL quarterback, right? You're going to be number 13. Yeah, Josh, he's so humble, Mike. Thomas just don't go.
I still got more work to do. That's why I got more work to do, man.
Hold on. How can everybody just real quick? How can people keep up with you, and where can they see that? Is that on BET?
Yeah, that's gonna be on BET, probably BET Plus, BET Heard, all BET platforms. And keep up with me, man. I'm trying to do better in social media, man. I'm still living in that world.
Me too.
I ain't posting my moves. I ain't doing this. And even Thomasina, God remind me I ain't post something in a month, so I gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? But my social media, Twitter, Joshua Morgan Senior, and on IG, Joshua Morgan Senior. Man, shout out to my son, Josh Morgan Jr. too, man. He
I
on that
love it.
baseball
I
field
love it.
tearing it up.
Okay, he on that baseball. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I took him to a lot of the VT baseball games this past.
What's up?
So
They got a great program
hopefully
too.
he down there. Yeah, hopefully he down there doing their thing.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you again for jumping on, man. One of the greats, man. Mike and I appreciate it, man. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hokie Nation. That's our episode, man. Miami and Tech in Blacksburg, 12:30. Not on ESPN, on ESPN Plus, but you will be able to see it, man. Yeah, homecoming, man. If you get there, if you're driving there, be safe, drink responsible, be smart, man. All right. I know how y'all do, man. There it is, man. Like we say every episode, go Hokies. Y'all be out.
Go Hokies.
Yes, sir.